Welcome in, everybody. I'm Ben Parker, and that is Robertson Byer, and this is 70 Chip Cast presented by Pro Football Enterprises. We do a lot of cool stuff on this network, and nothing cooler than mock drafts for the Washington Commanders. So, Robertson, how you doing tonight, man?
And I'm doing great. I'm not coughing anymore. My voice isn't hoarse. It's been an issue the past couple of weeks. We had some great football over the weekend, except for that one game. But we may or may not talk about that a little bit tonight. Maybe if not, we will be talking about it a little bit in our podcast where we'll be recording later tonight. Odds on favorite, I know. Um, but yeah, I mean, heck, the divisional round sometimes is the best weekend in of the playoffs. Especially if you get like we've seen multiple championship games over the past 5 to 10 years that have just been absolute blowouts or just not great games. Um, so this was definitely a fun weekend of football.
Loved it. It was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, Washington not part of the party. So,
No.
we are going to do a mock draft tonight. We may or may not do all 7 rounds, and this is exploratory. All right, if we have a guy that we want to plant our tent stakes deep on, then we'll say so. But it's January, folks. Okay, we're exploring our options, so don't get nailed down. We're not trying to get too serious about this. We are taking it seriously, but we are exploring our options here as we cover the Washington Commanders. We reserve the right to change our minds, or we reserve the right to be stubborn for 4 months. If we like a pick, we don't want to move off of it, we won't. So all our options are on the table. We're going to check that out tonight. So we picked out the PFF mock draft simulator. I love it. I love several simulators. I do literally hundreds of mock drafts throughout the year, and I use 5 or 6 different simulators. So here we go. Robertson, I'm going to hit the start button here. We'll see what comes out on this particular randomized simulator. Commanders picking 7. So Caleb Downs goes first to the Raiders, Mendoza to the Jets, Reese,
Wow.
Tyson, Bain, Tate, all gone. The order's a little surprising, but I'm not surprised that those 6 players are off the board. So, Robertson, is there one player that we're sitting here at 7 that is not available, already been taken, that you're like, dang it, I was kind of sort of hoping we might could get him?
I mean, obviously Downs and Bain, you'd hope that one of them slide,
Okay.
because I don't think it's a secret that, we should be focusing on defense and that if we keep seven, it's got to be for a guy of the caliber of a Downs or a Bain or even a Bailey that is currently available. Um, so yeah, obviously you'd like one of those guys to slide. I think it's more possible for Bain to slide than Downs, but yeah, those two guys definitely would. I would like them to be available for us to pick.
I agree because that's one of, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 guys that would make me really want to just sit at 7 and pick because I do really like them. They're not here in this particular simulator, but I've seen lots of simulators that have both guys dropping past here. So again, we won't know till the actual draft happens. All right, Robertson, we're sitting here at 7. I'm going to trot out some of the top names, and then if you want to go position hunting, we can do that. And then if you want to explore a trade, we can do that tonight. Okay, we're
Hmm.
not again, we're exploring here. So Jeremiah Love, David Bailey, Peter Woods, Sonny Styles, Makai Lemon, Jermod McCoy, Keldrick Falk. I'll read a couple more here. Mansour Delane, Cassius Howell. Any name there that you're somewhat tempted by here at 7 before we explore a trade?
David Bailey for one because he's an edge rusher and he's kind of like the 1A with Bain in terms of top edge rusher this year.
Okay.
Um, at least that's for what you've told me. What other people have kind of said it's close. Sonny Styles, when did our linebacker position review, I guess that was probably about a month ago now at this point. You kind of sold me a little bit on Sonny Styles. Still haven't done a lot of tape work on him, but Bobby Wagner I doubt he's coming back. So you got to replace linebacker too. The only thing I would caution against is if you're going to pick a middle linebacker here, I mean, he's got to be your linebacker for like the next 10 years, and he's going to have like all pro caliber. Obviously, you want that anyway for a top 10 pick, right? But you got to be sure that you're sure to pass up on a top edge rusher to draft a middle linebacker.
I like David Bailey. I like Sonny Styles. I don't have to have them top 10. There's a part of me that would think I could trade back and still have a shot at somebody on defense that I like. So let's explore trades just for a second and see what trades are being offered here. PFF has, I think, 7 listed here, apparently 7 teams interested. You kind of have to put your own trade together here. So, real quick here, these are the 7 teams that are interested in trading on this particular PFF model. Okay. The earliest one is pick 21. I assume, because I'm not really interested in trading lower than 21 from the 7 spot. Are you, generic, knowing what you would probably get?
Not necessarily, unless there was a trove of other picks that are with that. No, not necessarily.
I'm going to start packaging together a little bit of a deal here. So obviously 21 and 7 have to be involved here. So 7 for the Commanders, 21 for the Steelers. Obviously 53's got to be involved here. I don't think I'm going to get that first round pick, but I'm going to make a stab at it anyway. They say no. All right. Well, they're actually interested in offering a 27 first. Okay. So here's what we've got. They're saying this trade has a 67% chance to be accepted. We could get 21, 76, and a first round pick in 2027. Without diving too deep into, can we get another 7th round pick or stuff like that? Is this a trade you're interested in or not?
Yes, potentially. I mean, obviously, you get another first round pick anytime you can add assets like that. You're not gonna. It's not automatic. No, you really have to consider that. Um, my only problem is that we still don't have a second round pick, and you said that you think, like based on all the things that we've talked about, that there's some value there. So I would maybe sacrifice because we need help now, and Quinn knows that, and Peters know that we need help now. So again, not that we don't want that extra first round pick, but if we can somehow get 53 and skip 76, or maybe get like a second and a fifth instead of the third, and we give up some another pick on top of that, like maybe next year, I'm fine with that. But
All right. So
um,
I've already changed it. So here's what we're
right.
trying. And actually, I don't think anybody would do this. So we're not going to do it. But just to show you what the simulator is offering, it's full green bar here on PFF. Steelers 21, 53, 76, 85. No, I don't think anybody would do that just to get the 7th overall pick in a draft like this. So I'm not going to execute it. I assume you
Mike
would go
Ditka
for
might.
that deal.
uh yeah.
Okay.
I would definitely do that. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, and again, simulators are what they are. I love the simulators. Now, I'm not going to take us down the trade path tonight. We're going to pick a player. I'll let you do a little position hunting here if you want in a second. But I don't like the way that trade is shaking out, either for fairness or for us getting what we want. Now, I have seen on other simulators, I think this is more fair and reasonable too. I've seen where for the 7th pick, we might could get 14 and say 43. And I think that's legit and something I would be interested where we get a pretty good second round pick and still get the draft fairly high. I feel like that's more reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, it also comes down to, okay, what does what does Adam Peters think, or in this case, we think about the depth of talent throughout the first round here? Like, how far back do we think we can go before there's a clear drop off in talent? And I'll
Yeah,
default to you on that one to answer that, but
yeah, and exactly. My opinion is there's about, depending on who you are, I think this year there's about roughly 18 guys, 20 guys that are legit first rounders, but we might be left, if we drop back to say 18, 20, we might be left with an offensive player, not a defensive guy. So if we want a defensive guy, probably 13 or 14 is about as far back as we would really want to trade to get one of those good defensive first round type guys, I think. So, for future reference, I think that's about where we are. Position wise, what do you want to hunt for here?
Definitely edge. I mean,
All right.
we need it, especially if you watch over the weekend. The edge rushers, I mean, just in general, pass rush was so important, but especially edge rushers. You look at the Texans and what they were able to do, and stay even when their quarterback turned the ball over, a million times, they were still able to keep the game in reach, and it was primarily their premier edge rushers.
Yeah. Okay. So it's basically to me, there are people that disagree, of course. That's fine. To me, it's David Baylor, Keldrick Falk. Keldrick Falk can be on the field for all three downs. He's big enough. He's proven he can hold up against the run. He has shown some real smoothness and get after it to get to the quarterback, but it's not consistent. He is inconsistent, and that's what's pulled him from top five ish down to top 20 ish. Okay. Now, David Bailey, PFF is higher on Bailey than anybody, which that's fine. When I see David Bailey, I see a guy that I don't want on the field for all three downs. He is an edge rusher, pure and simple, a mercenary, a hired gun. His only job is to get after the quarterback. I think he's actually in the minus categories in pass coverage and in run defense right now. But if you're a team that needs an edge rusher to fly off the edge and get after the quarterback, which by the way, we are one, go get Bailey whenever you want him. So I don't have a problem with him going seventh overall. That's my opinion of these players here.
Is he a clear drop off from a guy like Ruben Bain?
To me, yes, because Bain is on the field, should be on the. You're going to rotate your defensive lineman, right? But Bain's a three down guy. Yeah, Bain's the whole. The sack totals. Bailey may come up with better sack totals, but he may get 5 sacks in one game and then not have any for a couple of weeks. So Bailey may be your sack master, but he just cannot hold up yet on the other dimensions.
I mean, we need juice off the edge. So I mean,
Okay.
I would go with David Bailey if it was me. But
I'm totally fine with it. Just so our audience can see again, defensively, Peter Woods is here. Sonny Styles is here, who I like, but doesn't have that top end explosive sack ability that Bailey has. Jermod McCoy and then Mansour Delane. I think to me, that's where it starts to run out is right here. Cassius Howell, a lot of people like him. I do too, but I don't have him up here with this group personally. So I'm okay with taking David Bailey here if you're good with that as well.
I am curious. I see a top running back, and that makes me curious, right?
Yes.
Naturally. It's Do you think that that would be a worthwhile pick given what we're facing right now?
For me, no, and that is because the defensive needs are so overwhelming. I do think Jeremiah Love is worth top 10 consideration for teams that want to do that. But my gosh, we have nothing. Not nothing. We have so little on defense. I really want us to hit that side of the football.
Agreed. Agreed.
So let's do it. And then it's going to be a while before we pick again. It's going to be pick 71. So once I hit the button, it'll click on through here. But that's what we're working with tonight. So David Bailey, I'm happy. We've got a guy who can get after the quarterback. Those are not easy to come by. So here we go. All the way down here. There are still good players I like down here, and I haven't even looked at the board yet. I just know that there will be. Now, before we go through the players, how stuck are you on wanting to hit defense again, or are you at this point, having grabbed the defensive player, are you wide open to anything at this point?
I mean, it's one of those things where it starts to open up the more we address the defense, right?
Okay.
So we get one player, okay, possibility for offensive player for me opens up a little bit.
Okay.
Then we get two defensive players, opens up a little bit more. But to me, focus needs to be on defense. Unless there is an offensive player that's like dropped to 71 and it's like we gotta have this guy. Like he's gonna transform our offense. He's gonna be a big weapon for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Um, unless that is the case, then you gotta stick with defense.
Something else that's not talked about a lot here. I'm moving the picture around. We don't pick again until pick 145, unfortunately. So we kind of want to make this. We want to make all our picks count. I shouldn't even say that, but it would be nice if this one hit pretty good. So let's do a little position search here. I'm going to start with because I want a defensive player, but I'm wide open to anything at this point. Let's look at the cornerbacks here. I do like Will Lee. He won't be there the next time we pick. Malik Muhammad is fine. So is Scott. Those players are all fine. Hezekiah Massis might be there the next time we pick if we're wanting a quarterback. And I think Hezekiah Massis is solid and could start he would I don't feel like he would have to wait 2 years to start. I feel like he could start sometime maybe in his rookie season. I think that's he's got that potential possibly. So that's CB safety. I to me, these names are always considering. Nobody jumps out here. I'll come back to it if you want in a second. Defensive interior. Okay, the names I was hoping to see are gone. I'm gonna tell you who they were here. They disappeared on me. Dominique Orange is a very big defensive tackle. I was hoping to see him. He is gone. And Dante Corleone from Cincinnati, another big defensive tackle. They're both gone. So we're not catching any breaks here so far on this draft. All right. Guys we're looking for are gone. Daryl Jackson's interesting, but not necessarily at this pick. And then edge again. We can pick two edges if we want. Now, I honestly feel like Deni Dennis Sutton, DDS from Penn State, I feel like he has been undervalued across the board. But maybe everybody else is seeing something that I'm not seeing. I actually think a year, during the summer, even he was first round material for most people. He has come off down here to like pick 70 to 90 in most places. I think he's worth considering. And let's see, I didn't hit linebacker yet. Tarian York is a guy that I would consider as well. So to me, a lot of the defensive guys I was hoping would be here have vanished. Emmanuel McNeil Warren, well, a dozen picks earlier, safety from Toledo, who you and I talked about last week. It's getting a little light here, quicker than I thought. So, where would you like to go, and who would you like to talk about?
Well, let me ask you, of the top guys at each position that we just went over, so w which of those guys is most worthy of 71?
For me, it's denied Dennis Sutton, but we're going to have to put a big asterisk on that because I'm much higher on him. I still feel like he should be considered late first, early second round, and consistently the mocks have him 70 to 90. So again, that's a guy I believe in. Not everybody else does though. So, kind of have to take that
Why?
with a mixed bag, right?
Why? Why don't they like what are you seeing or what are they not seeing that you're seeing?
So I personally felt like the 2024, you could see the explosiveness, and everybody agreed to that. That's the part everybody agrees on. You could see all kinds of playmaking in space, getting to the quarterback, interceptions. I mean, you name it, he was doing it. 25, a lot of that disappeared. I felt like that disappeared because he was working in a new defense where they were asking him instead of lining up on edge, they asked him to line up right over the tackle and sometimes even to the inside shoulder of the tackle where he was like a run stopper. And he held up, he did it. But all those explosive plays by and large disappeared. Plus the fact that he got double teamed more often because Abdul Carter was gone from the other side. So he got more double teams. Plus, and just because of the new defensive coordinator is not an excuse for you to play worse. But Jim Knowles, the new defensive coordinator for Penn State last this year, has a system that typically is very hard to learn in year one. You could see a lot of the Penn State guys kind of were uncertain about where to be and what to do. I felt like that affected this game as well. So I trust the 24 tape that I saw that everybody loved, and I feel like I can explain the 25 tape I saw where the explosives disappeared.
Based on that analysis, so there's nothing wrong with he didn't decline as a pass rusher necessarily, just numbers declined.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Um, given those factors, I'd be more than comfortable adding him at this point.
Okay.
And especially if you feel that he is now again, corner is going to be interesting because if we cannot, we're cutting Marcus Lattimore. I mean that's a done deal, especially after this arrest that happened recently. He's done. Okay.
Yeah.
Unless you think there is a starting corner that, I mean, pretty much a day one starting corner because if we can't address it in free agency, we have to address it here.
Right.
Okay, whether it's at 7, whether we trade back and accumulate more picks, whether it's at 71, we have to address it. So if you think there is truly, like without a doubt, with all things considered, without a doubt, a day one starter at corner, then I would go DDS.
Okay. Fair enough. And to balance that, because I do believe it's important that, like, if we were in a real GM room, there would be a lot of voices, and all those voices should be heard before a final person makes a decision. If we were looking at, pick 35, I would not fight for DDS to get drafted because I think the risk of enough people not liking him would outweigh my liking him. Here at 71, though, I think we're right within a lot of people's wheelhouse to where he could get drafted. PFF just happens to have him 90, but I've seen lots of mocks that have him up higher, more like 70. So I think we're fine on that. And to answer your question about the starting level cornerback, I don't think there's any day one lock them in starters sitting here, even though I'm okay with these cornerbacks. Even if we took one, I'd be okay with it. I think a lot of the cornerbacks are already gone that would be, and I think there's several in this draft, but they seem to me to be all gone. Okay, at this point, so that's what I'm thinking.
And yes, I can hear people already saying, "Well, why would you take two edge rushers?" Did
Right?
you not watch the games this year? Because here's the
Yeah.
thing. Okay, well, Dorrance Armstrong's going to come back. Okay, he had a good start to the season. We don't know how it would have finished. We knew that he
Yes.
was playing above what he usually does. He played great. He's a good player. He was playing great. He's not a truly great player. He's maybe a 5 to 7 sack a year type of guy. For me on a championship team. That's a rotational edge rusher. You know,
Yes.
he's not your day one starter. I want two guys that have the ability to get 12 plus sacks every single season.
Yes. Agreed. And I'll even add to that. Why two edge rushers? Well, because the defensive tackles I thought would be there, two of them, neither one's there. They both went, so we didn't look out there. Out of the cornerbacks, which is a pretty deep group this year, not one of them fell to us at 71s, which is again a little bit more bad luck. There's a lot of wide receivers I like. They're not sitting here. They all, because again, we're in the third round now. All right. It starts to thin out. So again, out of all the positions I was hoping to see guys, they're not there. There's some other decent guys here, but I think DDS is a guy that could certainly be. And just as part of it, so he's 6'5", 265. He's a different size than Bailey, who's more in the 6'2", 6'3", 240-ish, 245 range, 235 range. So we got the quick twitch guy, and then we got a bigger edge who can be on the field for 3 downs, hold up against the run. We got two different kinds of guys here. I feel better about that too.
You've sold me.
All right, let's go ahead and draft. Deny Dennis Sutton. If you don't like it,
Let us know in the
if you're a
comments.
village, if you're a village troll and you don't like it, then just hush. We don't need that. But
Right.
if you're a Commanders fan and you're like, hey, I saw a guy sitting there that I really do like. I think we should evaluate and draft. That stuff I want to know. Okay, so let me know the
Yeah.
guy that was sitting there on the board because we want to know that too. We're hunting for these players. We haven't watched all of them. We've watched a lot of them. We want to know these players too. So please tell us if you saw a couple of guys there. I don't want to hear too
Or
much squawking
or
about position.
the draft strategies that you'd like to see implemented. You know, just because we're thinking this way doesn't mean that certainly doesn't mean that's the way that Adam Peters and company are thinking or the way that they should be thinking. So
Now at this point, having drafted two defensive players and two edgers, basically, I'm open to literally the best player available, whatever I can get. So are you feeling the same way, or are you still want to take another stab at defense?
stab at defense if possible. However, tell me about because it's at the top here. Tell me about Pat Coogan, if you know
Yeah,
anything.
Pat. I don't know a lot. I what I know is casually from Indiana. I thought he held up better than the two guards, but not as good as the tackles. I wouldn't want to draft Coogan any higher than this. This is about as high as I would want to
Okay.
draft Coogan. I He's going to be tough. He's going to be efficient. I'm not even sure he'll be a starter though. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm fine with it. I'm not thrilled with it. That's where I'm at.
Well, because personally for me, I'm trying to find a Tyler Biotish replacement. Not that
Okay.
Biotish is bad, and I know he has rapport with Quinn, he has rapport with Jaden. I'm not looking to replace him now. I'm looking for a succession plan because he gets injured a lot, and he's I think he's past 30 now, so he's not going to be around forever. And I don't think this was his best year. Um, I think he struggled more than we're willing to acknowledge at this point. Um, so I'm looking for a succession plan, also a backup plan, because we don't have a backup plan right now. So
Yeah. Yeah. Coogan would be fine as backup. I feel like we know what we would get there, but the ceiling's not very high as far as I can see. I will say a guy we passed up at 71, I didn't even mention, but center Connor Liu for Auburn, I absolutely love. Not super athletic. You won't see him going all over the field, but you talk about a guy who moves straight ahead and can dominate at point of attack and push forward and push the running game. That's my guy right there. So in an alternate draft, might be a guy we could consider at center.
generally speaking, my options are open. I would entertain any skill position. I'm also still entertaining cornerback if there's a decent linebacker that we believe that can be a Mike linebacker. Safety, I'm open to all skill position players on offense and any position on defense.
There's two guys here worth considering. One is Igbenison from Ohio State, probably a more legit cover guy, but inconsistent. That's one reason he's down here. Tacario Davis is, I believe, 6'4", transferred from Arizona to Washington. I'm going to pull that up here real quick. Yeah, 6'4". So I don't know how you feel about tall corners, but
I like
if you
him.
want if you want a tall guy, he's sitting right there for what are we in? We're fifth round now.
Yeah.
All bets are off at fifth round, right? So for a fifth round pick, that's decent. Igbenison is probably I feel like Igbenison should probably be drafted a little bit higher. I think both of those guys are perfectly legit right here. Let's do a little bit of wondering here. What's your next position you'd love to take a look at real quick?
Linebacker.
Let's look at linebacker, see if there's anybody here. Uh, Aiden, okay, so a lot of the Indiana guys are the same. The talent level is not very high. It's just not. But there is some talent there, and they're very reliable, consistent, hardworking. Technique is there, but they're going to lose out on the athleticism thing. So linebacker depth, I know people kind of chuckled at that, is a big freaking deal for us. So I don't think this is a starter year one, but I think he's better depth wise than what we've got, say at 3 to 5 at the linebacker role. So, you know, that's an interesting bit right there with Aiden Fisher. If you're looking at linebacker, possibly.
Let's check out because we just haven't done it yet. Let's check out some of the offensive players and see if they're worth
Yes.
considering at this point.
Okay, Chase Roberts here. This is the guy I was talking about. Very reliable. I it, I'm going to get his height because I think his height's important here. Yeah, he's 6'4" as well. So the height's there. Been very reliable at BYU for several seasons now. Let me see if I can find his statistics on here. All right, so you can see the games played 3 years in a row. Where's the catches? 54, 52, and 41. 800 yards each of the past 2 years. That's the same numbers. That's almost the same numbers Denzel Boston has put up for Washington the past 2 years, and he's getting drafted a lot higher than this. Yards per catch, 14.9 and 16.4. That's better than Denzel Boston past couple of seasons at Washington. So this is a valid pick here. This is not. I don't want to phrase this wrongly. He's not uber athletic, uber talented, but this is a productive guy with size. I think we could do a lot worse than Chase Roberts here with a fifth round pick.
What about and I hesitate to draft another tight end because we have Ben Sinnott and John Bates, and I think for now I mean, we got to see what Sinnott has. I mean, unless the coaching staff is like, yeah, we got this one wrong. Um, I would hate to use another pick on a tight end, especially if we can just go get an average to
Right.
good tight end free agency for not a whole lot.
Yeah, Tanner Kozol, and I'm sorry I'm mispronouncing that name. I know I am. From Houston is a guy that I caught my eye early in the season. I like his game. I I don't know that I see a high end here, and again, it's a fifth round pick, but there is production. 74 catches, 94 catches, but the yards per catch are down. They're like 10 and 9. Even for a tight end, that's a little bit down. So um, not explosive guy necessarily, but he does produce. We saw the touchdown, 6 and 4. We could do worse than that. So again, it's something there at tight end.
And what about running back? I don't want to take too much time, but what about running backs on any is there anyone here that's going to be like, you know what, this guy is going to change our life on offense, with the explosion of the run game of this guy plus Jaden Daniels, even a backfield with Bill and potentially C-Rod still. Um, any of these guys.
So I haven't gotten deep into the weeds on tape on these guys yet, but from what I've seen, Le'Veon Moss would present some ceiling. Jaden Ott is a guy who's been a good running back for a while. I believe he did have a major injury at some point a year or so back. Seemed to come back from that, but maybe not quite pristine. Desmond Reed, I believe, is a smaller guy. Give me 1 second. I want to double check on that here. Yeah, 5'8", 175. So he's in the smaller class, but again, productive. Most of these guys are productive. I didn't necessarily see a guy here. Most of the running backs I wanted are about have kind of already gone. It doesn't seem as deep of a running back class as last year to me. These guys are all fine, but not really.
Okay. So at this point, what do you feel most comfortable with?
Yeah, the two cornerbacks. We either have a more cover kind of a guy, consistent but inconsistent cover guy, Igbenison from Ohio State at corner, or the big corner, 6'4", Takario Davis from Washington. Those two would probably be at the top of my list. But if we're wanting to grab Chase Roberts, the wide receiver from BYU, I feel like he would be a better bet to collect maybe the third starting role at some point than who's the kid we picked up from Texas Christian 2 off seasons ago. Showed some promise this year.
Uh, Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah, I feel like he offers a lot more higher chance to hold a starting spot than McCaffrey has thus far shown.
I mean, it depends on what we do in free agency at that point. I'm more inclined to go with corner because I feel like that's a more pressing need. Um, but if we don't address receiver and we address corner, then obviously I'm going to go the other way.
Let's assume we've added a wide receiver in free agency. Let's pick a corner. Neither of these guys is perfect. I don't know that they even start year one, but I do feel like they give us a chance here in the backfield.
I'm a measurables guy, especially in the fifth round. If Takario Davis, like if production and talent are equal, well, he's not a small guy either, but
Yeah,
um,
I didn't realize he was 6'2". I was thinking he was 6'1", which he might be.
yeah,
Sometimes those listed heights, but yeah,
right. Um, if talent and production are you know, relatively the same or close, I go with measurables. I like a 6'4" corner, a physical guy at the point of attack that can just jam somebody. Long
yeah,
wingspan. I feel like that helps, you know. Unless this guy's slower than molasses, then I don't want him. But
right. And I didn't get the impression. By the way, the wingspan is there. I could see that. I didn't get the impression he was slow for a corner. Obviously, I don't expect a guy like this to be able to have cat-like reflexes like a smaller, tighter guy would. But I felt like physical, yes, and fast enough to work in zone, yes. I felt like he would be fine, and the wingspan is there. So Tacario Davis.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's pop it in. What do we got? We got two picks left, 186 and 223. And again, we're exploring tonight. If y'all see a guy here, and you've all seen different guys, right? You've seen, one guy in an Iowa game, right? Or you watched, one guy three times in the California game. Let us know. We are more than happy to try to start putting that in future drafts. All right, tell me what you want to try to work on here.
Tell me about Jalen Daniels.
He's been at Kansas forever. I think he may have started for 5 seasons. I forget exactly, but
Yeah,
boy, he has been there forever. Uh, Not among my top quarterback picks for this year, unfortunately.
okay. Because, go back a couple weeks, we did talk about nabbing a quarterback at some point late in this
Yes.
draft.
Well,
Um,
let's do that real quick though. Let's do a quick glance and see if any of them are there.
well,
I
because I
tell you,
saw
for
Drew Aller, he went the pick before the last one we just did.
Yeah. So for me, for my money, if we were going to try to grab maybe a backup, I don't really project these guys as future starters. Luke Altmaier, Sawyer Robertson, we would do okay with them coming in as backups, and obviously they'd be cheap.
So, man, I don't know. I feel like we win a lot of defense. We got to add something on offense.
Okay.
Um, which I'm fine. By the way, I'm totally fine with. I'm totally fine with going all defensive up to this point.
I tell you, I didn't realize Josh Cameron was this low. Josh Cameron from Baylor has some nice tape. Let me go back and look at his production here. I'll catch the size as well while I'm at it. 6'1", 224. So not overwhelming size, but not underwhelming either. The yardage is there, 872 and 750. The yards per catch, a little low this year, but 14.4 last year. And the touchdowns are there, 9 and 10. That backs up the film that I saw. I don't think he's super fast, and he's obviously not super tall, but I didn't feel like he was deficient in those two categories. This was a productive wide receiver at Baylor. This was a guy I definitely feel like belongs in the NFL. The question will be, can he actually grab a starting spot, or will he always kind of sort of be in the rotation kind of a deal? But this, to me, this guy definitely belongs in the NFL. Okay.
I like this receiver better than the Chase Roberts guy you showed me earlier, only
Okay.
because, and I don't know again how accurate PFF is and so forth, and how they grade certain things. Chase Roberts said he had a 12.9 drop rate, which was rather high.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the guy you just showed me here, he had a 1.6% drop rate. So again,
It's a
I don't
lot
know how this
better.
stuff is measured and so forth, but
An
to me,
interesting
something to
guy,
consider.
if you like measurables, is Mr. Eric Gentry, who at linebacker is 6'6". Didn't fully live up to that at SoCal, unfortunately. But if you're wanting to take a flyer on a guy, maybe in the seventh round, just a guy I mentioned here, a guy I do like here, sitting right here, Bud Clark. I hate to add a third rookie to the secondary because I think we already do two, or did we do one?
Just one, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So we could add a second rookie to the secondary. It wouldn't hurt. Bud Clark is a guy who I thought has enough athleticism, talent to be maybe a solid starter at safety, but the playmaking was there. He's 6'2", 190. This was a guy who was very smart. I really liked, and you can kind of see the numbers there. This was a guy who I thought was smart, and I thought would made some big plays from time to time. That was kind of a thing that was good for him for Texas Christian. So again, we're in the sixth round at this point, so that is the level of talent we're talking about. This was a guy that I thought would give you a chance as well. So just a name to consider. What other positions you want to try to look at real quick?
Uh, well, what do we got at running back? I'm still curious.
Yeah, at running back, almost the same names. We're missing a
Yeah,
couple at this point. So again, with Hemby, tough runner, Terrion Stewart. I'd be curious on the 40 time on Stewart. If his 40 time popped pretty good, I'd grab him. I just not anything exciting here at running back for me.
right. So again, I'm just gonna stick with, if we can get a guy like Bud Clark, if you like him, you like his playmaking ability. Um, I'm fine with that if you're looking to roll a dice on a measurables guy at linebacker, which is something we desperately need. I'm fine with
Yeah,
that as well.
yeah.
Um, I saw a fullback listed there. So it's interesting because what David Blau is trying to do, I'm just thinking because I've seen, especially over the past weekend, right? I've seen a lot of fullbacks and a lot of good, I mean, use check. A guy in Seattle, there's a guy in Denver. There's a guy I know, like there's fullbacks seem are having kind of like a mini comeback almost. And
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's worth a draft pick. I'm just saying I'm curious based on the run scheme that David Blau is going to try to run. Is there going to be a fullback involved in the run game? And if there is, I want a good one. I don't want some guy that's just going to take up a roster spot just say that we have a fullback. I want this guy to be productive in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, Eli Heidenreich obviously playing in the Navy offense, which of course is a very unusual offense, right? But
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
you can see he produced there for 2 seasons. You have uh, the running attempts, almost 500 yards in both seasons, each season, and then catches too. They're short catches, but you can see the catches he's getting there, almost 1,000 receiving yards and 700. Those are mostly short plays, right? It's working tight angles. It's picking up 3 yards at a time. It's that kind of a thing. But um, he was productive there. Not a guy I had considered until you said it. But I tell you what, uh, from Navy, he's maybe a little short on athleticism, maybe, but he's high on toughness and character as well. And the size is there, 6'0", 206. So
Yeah,
right in the
206 is a little light because I'm looking for this guy to be either in the backfield, obviously, or as an inline tight end of some
okay.
sort. And um, I want my guy being like, some of these big suckers that are out there right now. Um, but yeah, because again, I don't want him to just line up in the backfield and just block the whole time. Well, also, I mean, as pass protection, our backs, other than McNichols, struggle with pass protection all year long. Bill couldn't do it. Rodriguez, it definitely improved over the years, but still not good enough. Um, so if this guy could pass protect too and catch out of the backfield, heck, make him your kind of pseudo third down back or something. I mean, because
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to the 49ers, use checks on the field a good bit, especially in these short yardage stuff. So I'm it's going to be curious to see what Blau does, but I know fullback sounds laughable given the needs that we have, but I don't feel like it's a terrible idea.
Based on what you're telling me, I'd be interested in Eli Heidenreich. My favorite player out of everybody we've seen so far at this point in this grouping is probably Josh Cameron, the wide receiver from Baylor. Would give us a chance. I feel like he would have a chance at being a halfway decent number two receiver. I feel like he's got that ceiling. More likely though, Cameron would do well to come in as a third starter. Maybe not rookie season, but late rookie season, early second year would be a a possibility. I'll put it that way.
Let's pull the trigger.
All right, let's do Josh Cameron. We have one pick left. I'm hoping the draft works out a little bit different. By the way, our
Yeah.
quarterbacks are still there. So if we want to back up QB, Altmaier and Robertson are still there. Perfectly, perfectly fine. I'm scrolling down here to our place, and you can tell me where you want to start at.
Well, tell me, are any of the which of the quarterbacks remaining that you would select with a seventh round pick are most like Jaden? Like in terms of, okay, David Blau, young signal caller, I'm not gonna have to change the offense if much, if at all.
Well, probably Tommy Castellanos as far as play style, but I don't really personally think that's an NFL guy there. So out of this group, I don't really see a guy that would really play the way Daniels plays.
Then I'm up for defensive lineman. I'm up for a linebacker. I'm up for another defensive back. Um, I'm up for another edge rusher. I'm up for anyone that makes sense, in terms of, can we see this guy as a project that we can try to develop?
I'm just scrolling through here. I've
Yeah,
already
sure.
seen a name that I think would give us a chance, but I do want to kind of do my diligence. Okay, if we're just looking to add in the seventh round a guy with some beautiful size, Eric Gentry, 6'6", with pretty decent athleticism for this round. Again, the light never came on at SoCal. People were looking forward to it, it just never came on. So Eric Gentry, if you want the size profile for a seventh round pick, wouldn't be bad. Again, if we're looking for backup QB, Altmaier and Robertson, but the play style is going to be different. What I was looking at here, the guy I think I saw, no, I'm sorry, it's not there. It is right over here. Xavier Nwankpa out of Iowa. That's a guy that I do feel like should get drafted at some point by somebody. Again, the size 6'2", 213. So I do like the size profile. I doubt the 40 time is going to be way up there, but I don't expect it to be bad either. Dwankpa is a guy that belongs in an NFL football field in some capacity. I just don't yet know if that's a starter someday or if that's a decent rotational backup. We could do a lot worse than him for seventh round pick.
So Gentry, does he have the explosive, or does he have the athletic ability? Does he have the explosion to, if he doesn't work out as a middle linebacker, to maybe transition to an edge rusher? Maybe not in terms of a pass rusher. Can you set an edge?
That's a great question. I At the NFL level, because in college he could do that some, right? He seemed to prefer working out in space. And I think that's
Okay.
part of his problem is he's that tweener type. The body type suggests one thing, but his style suggests something else. He really does not feel like he would want to be on the edge, setting the edge was what it feels like.
So does he feel more like okay, not this past year, but last year, the way we utilized Frankie Louvu?
Yes, but I don't think he can do anything that Luvu can do. It's just that would be his style. I'm not sure he can stay on the field playing that style though. You really are just taking a big gamble on a big guy here who does like to be out in space, right?
Right.
So
I would
yeah,
say if you see the ability to eventually turn into something, then yeah, let's do it. But I'm fine taking any position at this point, whether it's interior defensive lineman, whether it's another edge rusher, whether it's another corner, another safety. If we think we can find a middle linebacker at this point, sure. But I don't really like the missed tackle right there for a linebacker.
no, it's not great. And he did line up on the defensive line some. You can see that, but you can also see he lined up in slot some. So,
Yeah,
it shows you that he can play out in space. Most of that's probably more zone slot than man slot, but
yeah.
still, it gives you an idea this guy can run around space. For a seventh round draft pick, especially a draft in which a lot of guys decided to go back to college this year, they really did. The size profile is there, so I'm totally fine with it unless you want to go in a different direction.
Nope, I'm fine with it.
Let's go ahead and do it. We're going to grab this guy because he's 6'6" and he can play out in space, and we're going to try to increase our linebacker depth here. So I don't care much for the grades that simulators put on us because it's always completely based on whether or not you drafted them better or worse than what their grade was. Okay. So I don't care about that. I care about whether or not you and I are happy with the guys we got or the positions we got. So just a reminder here, David Bailey, Deni Dennis Sutton, Takario Davis at corner, Josh Cameron at wide receiver, Eric Gentry at linebacker without pulling off a trade, which we could have done. We didn't. Without pulling off a trade, how happy are you with what we've done here tonight?
I honestly, I'm very happy with that.
Okay.
Maybe not the players, specifically, because as you said, the draft did not really fall the way that we wanted it to fall.
No,
Um,
no.
but given if that were the case, which is entirely possible, we don't know. Um, I like the focus on the defensive side of the football, and I like that, if we did go offense, Not saying we shouldn't address offensive line to, not saying it's not important because I think it is, but I think we just have other needs, and a weapon for Jaden right now at this moment in time is more important than adding a maybe backup guard or a maybe backup tackle, at that point in the draft.
And I will say, uh, keep in mind we're using a first round pick, a third, and then a five, six, seven. We're not using a two. We're not using a four. We didn't make a trade, which I think I want us to make a trade. But assuming we don't, this is similar athletically to what we're going to get. We know the Commanders the past couple of seasons have been looking at RAS scores pretty carefully, and if they go with that after the combine, they get the RAS scores in. It probably wouldn't be necessarily this group of guys. There are more athletic guys out there, but they also don't have the production. So we kind of picked up productive guys tonight after Bailey. We picked up guys that had produced, and we didn't necessarily go after RAS score guys, but we also don't have the RAS scores available yet. Okay, so just keep that in mind if you're in the audience as to what we actually did here tonight. Robertson, any final thoughts, man?
No, I just again I don't take the focus on defense lightly. If we're 3 picks into the draft, we drafted 2 offensive players, they better be 2 damn good offensive players.
Right.
You know what I mean? That extend drives that make our offense impossible to stop, because otherwise you're ignoring the biggest elephant in the room. Probably, I mean, our defense is so bad and so devoid of talent overall that, I mean, unless you're spending every cent in free agency on it, you have to address this. You
Yeah.
have to address this. There's no, I mean, even even if you spend tons of money in free agency, right? We've looked at the guys that are available. It's
Mm-hmm.
not an impressive group
Right.
unless there's surprise cuts here and there. Um, we have to address this with young, talented players that are under contract that are inexpensive, because some of these players we do have on offense are going to start getting expensive, and Jaden being number one, and we need young defensive talent. Look across the league: Denver, Seattle, New England, Chicago, right? I mean, all
Yeah.
these the Rams. Look at the Rams, man. I mean, they're all young guys and all super talented. Now, are they perfect? No, by no means are they a perfect defense, but they're feisty. They get after the passer. Um, everything you want in a defense. So we have to create our own version of that. And that's going to start with addressing it with those first couple of picks.
And I will say, just because PFF marked it out, Jadarian Price from Notre Dame, if you wanted to grab a running back with pick 71, which I was kind of hoping for defense, there were good running backs still there at 71. Jadarian Price was a guy we just didn't even get into because I was mainly focused on defense, but Price was there as well. So in future drafts, maybe we start looking at that a little bit more seriously. But I'm with you. To me, it's defense, defense, defense. And it doesn't have to be the top three picks, but I think I really would prefer that three of our top four picks get used on defense. I feel like we're that missing on defense right now. And I know sometimes the guys you want just aren't there when it's your turn to pick. And so you end up going with offense when you didn't plan to. That's fine. In an ideal world, we're collecting, a lot of, it's a heavy defense focused draft, is where I'm at here.
Yeah, and again, even if you put some more band-aids on, in free agency and be like, oh, well, he can start this year. It's like, well, yeah, what about next year? What about the year after that?
Right.
What
Right.
about 3 years down the line when David Bailey's still going to be on the field for us? Well, we hope.
Right.
Um,
We hope.
so uh, primary focus, edge rusher, overall focus should be defense, heavy defense.
Totally agree. All right, everybody. We will be back next week. This is 70 Chip Cast presented by Pro Football Entertainment. I'm Ben Parker. That's Robertson Byer. Thank you all so much for being with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.